Pressure cooker for the AFC, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most, 1 being the least. Trevor Lawrence, where do you have it?
I want to say I'm going to go about an 8 with Trevor Lawrence here. Right? I'm not going to say it's full-blown pressure, oh my gosh, but it's a big year. I think part of the reason maybe I don't go totally crazy into the full pressure thing is hey, it's another coach. It's another offense he's got to deal with here. There's a lot of things, too, that have worked against Trevor Lawrence there with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Their offensive line stunk last year. They couldn't run the ball at all. The defense was not bad. It was pitiful. I mean, it was pitiful. So that was hard and made things hard on him, but he did not play his best, certainly. And, yeah, with the contract he's getting, being the number 1 pick, you expect to see results as you start to get to year 3, 4, 5, all those type of years where you go, wait, we want to see the organization turn the corner here for the better. And I feel like we're not sure we're seeing that with Trevor Lawrence, let alone it looked like he took a step back last year, and the way he played to throw the football, it just wasn't his best. And, yeah, he's under a lot of pressure, but I'll give it an 8 there.
I will go. Now, I would need to take a deep dive into his contract to see how many years they are tied to him. I'm going to say it's a 7 this year with the possibility of being a 10 next year. The one thing we don't know is whether or not Liam Cohen is truly a Trevor Lawrence guy. He's not going to tell us anything other than he is. But we know that every general manager wants his own coach, unless you're Liam Cohen and you manage to finagle it so you hire the GM, and every coach wants his own quarterback. There's a reason why the Jaguars job was available, and it's not because Trevor Lawrence is playing like Aaron Rodgers. And at some point, when you're trying to be the guy that turns the page on a franchise, certain players are identified with the state of the team that opened the door for you to go in there to try to change everything.
Yeah, right.
And how rare is it, other than the 2002 Colts when Tony Dungy arrived, after their playoffs and diddly-poo season with Jim Mora where they went 6-10. That was the playoffs year where they fell apart down the stretch. Mora got fired. There's Peyton Manning. How often is a coach fired in the midst of, now it happens, it's not unprecedented, but when you've got a true franchise quarterback. But you know it. Like Matt LaFleur came in knowing I'm getting a franchise quarterback. There's no doubt that he wants Aaron Rodgers, although it was a year later that Jordan Love was drafted. But my point is there has to at least be a doubt in Liam Cohen's mind that is this guy really going to be a top 5 guy? He was hovering in that direction after 22, and then it went the other way. So I think that the main source of the pressure this year is for Trevor Lawrence to become Liam Cohen's guy. He's got to become his guy. And next year would be you're out. Maybe it's higher this year then. I'm talking myself into a higher number because his number 1 objective this year is get Liam Cohen on his side.
Right.
And if he doesn't, then he's going to be out after next year.
Yeah, no, I think the Liam Cohen thing is where it's hard because it's like, wait, do we put more pressure on him because of Liam Cohen, or do we take a little less off of him because, hey, it is a new team, another system, another offensive system he's got to learn here, and it's just a whole new way. But regardless, I think to what you're speaking here, hey, Liam Cohen, he takes the job. There's worse options than Trevor Lawrence, right? But at the same time, they need to get him fixed. And I think that's the reason he was hired. It's part of it. So that's where there's definitely some give and take here, and both of them wanting to make this work because it's there to make these two cohesive and justify Trevor Lawrence's first pick of the draft, the $55 million a year contract and all of that. But we'll see. Again, last year was shaky before he got hurt. There's no way to kind of talk about it. It was not good. It was missed throws. I did, some of my quarterback rankings. I'm in the midst of doing that and all that, and going back and watching Trevor Lawrence, there's way too many plays and times in games where you just go, man, you're too good to miss that throw or to make that play right there, right then. And there was just too many moments last year that were a hair concerning for as awesome as he can be and what we've seen at times, like in that run to the playoffs when they almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs. But it's been too few and far between ever since that moment. I think that's what we're all questioning here.
Remember when we broke down the Brock Purdy contract last week, I said he's got 2 years, and then the 49ers have a decision to make early 2027, about $55 million that becomes fully guaranteed in 28.
Yeah.
Similarity here for Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. Early 27, $46 million in 2028 compensation becomes fully guaranteed. So he's got 2 years. He's got 2 years to sell Liam Cohen. And I think this year, like, the sneaky under-the-radar pressure is high. He's got to win Cohen over on the practice field, in the meeting rooms, in their interactions. Liam Cohen has got to come to the conclusion that if I was able to pick anyone, this is the guy I would pick. Because he's otherwise thinking, hey, I kind of like this guy. Hey, I kind of like that guy. Hey, what about this guy? What about when Baker Mayfield's contract expires with the Bucs? Maybe I want Baker Mayfield to be the quarterback of the Jaguars. So I think that the pressure's high. I'd give it all the way to 10, but we're not going to know whether or not he's checking those boxes because only Liam Cohen's going to know. And Liam Cohen's not going to come out and say, man, I got some doubts about Trevor Lawrence. It'll be proven out 2 years from now when they either allow the $46 million to become fully guaranteed or they move on.
Right. We'll see where it goes. Huge year nonetheless. Right. We know that.
Tua. 1 to 10. What do you got?
I'm gonna go a little higher here than Trevor Lawrence, and I think I'm gonna go 8.5 with Tua and where he's at. This is a big year. I mean, not a huge year in the fact that expectations are through the roof with the Miami Dolphins. We know they're in a little bit of changing their team over as well, but we're in the midst here of, Tua, just like we talked about with Trevor, they've staked their claim as he's the franchise quarterback. He's going to lead us into the future. We paid him a ton of money. We, even when he was had questionable health status and we're not sure where the brain was and all that, they've put incredible talent around him, the best talent there is. The offense itself is one of the most creative in football. There's nobody you'll talk to that won't agree with that, right? The fact that the team has fallen off a little bit, I really think helps Tua a little here in the lack of pressure because there's not expectations on the team. He's gotten away with it a little bit here, though. And we're talking about a few years here of, not healthy, not going to the playoffs, and I'd go with some of the best support around you in all of football? And then as we've talked about too, in big games with Tua, and this is where I argue with people sometimes on the radio and other podcasts all the time, I go, there's pressure on you. When you're the biggest question on the team in every big game, there's tremendous pressure on you. So, this is a big year just because he's got to show that he can carry the team through a little bit of a year of transition here and show also that, is there more to be untapped as we go forward here to where we think we can actually get in the playoffs, win playoff games with this guy? And I think that's what's at stake here, let alone maybe Mike McDaniel's job along with it this year as we go into 2025.
And that's the key.
Yeah.
That's the key. Tua is locked and loaded for 3 years.
Yeah, right.
He's already had $54 million in 2026 compensation become fully guaranteed. We broke it down when the contract came out. It was a 3-year full guarantee for Tua. But this is the year you can already kind of feel it coming.
You can feel it.
If they finish 3rd or 4th in the division, if they're not in the mix for a wild card berth, I think there's a very real potential that Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel are gone. And what happens next year? Well, we know what owners do. They tend to hire the guy who's the exact opposite of the last guy they had. So they had the hard-ass Brian Flores, old school, beat down mentally the players to get the most out of them, all of those old school ways. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying that's the way it is. That's the way it is.
Right.
It dates all the way up to Parcells. Belichick, Parcells, that mindset. So that was Flores. So Flores has gone in. Boom. In comes the guy who's completely different and is too easy on the players, some would say. The players have gotten soft under Mike McDaniel. So what happens if he gets fired, Chris? You're going to get another Mike McDaniel, or you're going to get a guy closer to Brian Flores? And what's that going to do for Tua as he's entering the last year that's guaranteed under his contract? So the pressure for him this year is to save Mike McDaniel, not himself. Because if he doesn't save Mike McDaniel, he's next. And his 26 experience is going to be horrendous because he's going to be there. Now, maybe they'll find a way to get him to go away with pay. But, man, new coach, first order of business is going to be we need a new quarterback. And, yeah, we're stuck with Tua at $54 million this year, but he's not my guy. And he's going to know he's not my guy. And I got to find my next guy. So the pressure is through the roof. It's 11 on Tua. For a guy who's got all that money guaranteed, his career in Miami comes down to this year. Because if he doesn't save Mike McDaniel this year, Tua has no career with the Dolphins after this season.
I mean, it does. And it sounds like they're aware of that down there. And I have a lot of, friends, people that South Florida, right? It from everything I hear from like friends who are sports fans down there, they say like the radio stations, it's yes. Can we really get it done with Tua and McDaniel? It's changed that way, where it was all excitement and we're got something special here going. But somewhere in the last year, it does sound like, the fan base down there is questioning where this is going. So we'll see. It's big. It is big. And it's big on Mike McDaniel, and which is I don't love. Again, I'm a fan of Mike McDaniel. I know there might be some issues we can pick there and all that, but I just want to go, I don't know. I'm watching the offense going, is it the most friendly quarterback offense in football? We throw it 3 yards here, he goes 90. We throw it 4 yards here, he goes 70. And we're going to blame Mike McDaniel. And he got stuck with Tua. He had no choice, just like you talked with Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence. It was like, hey, do you want the job? Yes, I love Tua. Yes, I will make everything about Tua and we'll make the offense awesome. Hey, Tua,
right, but he didn't
let's
have to
talk.
pay him.
Right.
They paid him on his watch.
But I know. But still, nonetheless, it's a tough situation that I think Mike McDaniel gets a little too much of the blame, in my opinion, at times.
But, I had a thought,
yeah.
and we are big Mike McDaniel fans, but it's entirely possible that Mike McDaniel is going to be like a Norv Turner or a Wade Phillips, where he can be a very valuable component of a championship coaching staff, but you need somebody in charge that's going to be a little rougher around the edges, that's going to be a little harder on the players. And I'm not saying, remember when the grades came out and people start getting A+? It's like, I don't know if the coach wants getting A+.
Right.
You probably want a B from your pupils. You want to get the most out of them. And I've never gotten the sense that McDaniel, and we love the guy. It's hard for me to say this out loud. I've never gotten the sense that he's troubled by the phone call coming from inside the house, Jordan Brooks saying they're soft after they lose to the Packers on Thanksgiving night. Like, I just feel like McDaniel's like, okay. Like, he's too chill. Like, he needs to be more of an asshole. I feel like that, and maybe, I don't know, maybe the light's going to go off, or maybe he's just being true to who he is. He's always been his authentic self. That's what makes me think, long-term for him, he could win multiple Super Bowl rings as the OC for a Brian Flores type of a head coach.
Listen, I hear what you're saying, and those are things that we're all going to question until they win some of these gritty, tough games late in December, win a playoff game on the road, tough, whatever it may be. That's what we question. I think it does bother Mike McDaniel, right? I think he tries to take it, head on, but it's definitely something we're all sitting here thinking about with the Dolphins.
We got to get to Justin Herbert,
yeah.
And I don't think this is going to take very long. It's a 1. When your head coach is ready to hand carve your bust for Canton, what pressure are you under?
Well, the pressure, I feel like, stems all from just the playoff game. But I see this a lot where I've seen people talk about Justin Herbert might be under more pressure than anybody in football. I want to go, what do you mean? Because they exceeded expectations and went 11-6 last year with a bunch of receivers that most people on social media make fun of until Ladd McConkey started like balling out a little bit and they were like, oh yeah, he's pretty good. But everybody else were like, yeah, who the hell is he throwing to? Running backs were hurt. Right? They played a style of football that necessarily wasn't always like, oh, we're going to be the sexiest and high-flying and make it easy on the quarterback. as we've talked about before. When you run the ball up the middle, run the ball up the middle, run the ball up the middle, and all of a sudden it's 2nd and 8, and they're like, hey, Justin, we know you haven't thrown in a while. Throw again. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to play that way. He's a special player. Yeah, I'm going to put it like a 6.5 as far as pressure. You want more because he's a special franchise, awesome superstar type of talent, and you want to take steps into the playoffs. But as far as overall pressure, I mean, he exceeded expectations last year, and I think it'll only get better this year in year 2 under Harbaugh.
I think it really is one. I think
it's all about the playoff. The 2 playoff games have totally gotten in everybody's head about Justin Herbert.
I think that unless this is some sort of passive-aggressive move by Jim Harbaugh, and I don't think it is, I think it's true, and I think it's authentic, and I think it's earnest. He loves Justin Herbert. I think he's trying to will Justin Herbert into fully embracing his destiny in football. And to get him to the point where he believes he's a Hall of Famer, where when he gets in those moments, he's going to go out there and he's going to be John Wayne, and he's going to be slinging it all over the place.
He's going to make him the jerk you're talking about a little bit with Mike McDaniels. Like, hey, I know how to be a jerk and win a championship. Let me teach it how to be a jerk a little bit. That's what you need sometimes. We know that. I think your point's real there. I mean, Brady, Manning, Michael Jordan. It doesn't, Derek Jeter, whatever. You look at the greats in any sport, they all got a little jerk in them just to be like, hey, it's about winning today. We'll have a beer later and have a lap, but right now, screw you, get on your job. And I think that's what you're kind of saying there.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.